This is my video on muscles and their actions. So first we have right here is the mandible, the bone. Right beneath there we have your digastric muscles, which elevate the hyoid and depress the mandible. Just below there right here we have your mylohyoid, which elevates the hyoid and is tongue-based. Right here on the side is your masseter, your masseter, however you say it, and that elevates the mandible and is a muscle mastication, which is chewing. And then you have your sternohyoid right here, which depresses the hyoid and the larynx. And then you have your sternomastoid right here, which rotates the head. And then you have your clavotrapezius right here, and that draws the scapula craniodorsally. Then we have your pecto antebrachialis right here, which adducts the forelimb. And then right here we have your pec major, which flexes, adducts, and immediately rotates the arm. Just below there we have your pec minor, which elevates the rib cage and protracts and depresses the scapula. And then we have your xiphi humerellus, which is right here, and that also adducts the forelimb. And then right here you have your serratus ventralis, which protracts and rotates the scapula. And then you have your latissimus dorsi right there, which flexes, extends, adducts, and immediately rotates the arm, and is also known as your handcuff muscle. And then right in here we have your scalenes, which elevate ribs 1 and 2, and they flex and rotate the neck. And then we have your serratus ventralis in here, right there. And then right there is your subscapularis, which for the humerus is the medial rotator, and it also holds the humerus in the glenoid cavity. And then right here we have your external oblique, which flexes, rotates, lateral flex of the trunk, and compresses the viscera. And then just inside there, right in there, is your internal oblique, and it has the same actions. And so it flexes, rotates, lateral flex of the trunk, and compresses viscera. And then right here is your rectus abdominis, right here, which flexes the trunk and compresses the viscera. And just underneath there, you have your transverse abdominis, which compresses abdominal viscera. And then on the arm right here you have your biceps brachii, which extends the forearm. And then, no, I'm just kidding. The biceps brachii flexes and supinates the forearm. And then you have your pronator teres, which is the pronation, right there, the pronator teres, which is the pronation of the forearm, and it flexes the elbow. And then right there you have your flexor carpi radialis, which flexes and abducts the arm. And then you have your palmaris longus right here, and that's a wrist flexor. And then right here you have your epitrochleus, which extends the forearm. So right here you have your acromiotrapezius, which draws the scapula dorsally. And then you have your spinal trapezius right here, which also does the same action. It draws your scapula dorsally. And then in here you have your acromiodeltoid, which rotates and flexes the humerus. And then right here you have your levator scapula ventralis, which draws the scapula cranially. And then right here you have your spinodeltoid, which which flexes and rotates the humerus too. And then you have right here, you have your triceps brachii, which that's the lateral head, that's the long head, that's the lateral head. And then you, this extends the arm. And then you have your brachialis right there, which flexes the forearm. And then you have your brachioradialis right there, which also flexes the forearm. And then you have your extensor carpi radialis longus, which extends and abducts the hand at the wrist joints. And then you have your extensor digitorum communis and your extensor digitorum lateralis, which extends the phalanges, wrist and elbow. And then right there you have your extensor carpi ulnaris, which extends and adducts the forearm. And then right here you have your rhomboid capitis, which draws the scapula cranially. Then you have your splenius, which extends and hyperextends the head bilaterally, and then it also rotates and flexes the head unilaterally. And then you have your rhomboideus, which retracts and elevates the scapula. And then you have your supraspinatus right here, which is the abduction of the humerus. And then up to the lower half. Right here you have your sartorius, which flexes the knee, flexes the thigh, and laterally rotates the thigh. And then you have your gluteus medius right here, which abducts and immediately rotates the thigh. And then you have your tensor fasciae latae right here, which also abducts, immediately rotates the thigh and flexes. And then you have your gluteus maximus right here, which extends the hip and laterally rotates the thigh. And then you have your caudofemoralis right there, which laterally flexes the tail, or flexes the tail laterally. And then right over here you have your hamstring, so you have your biceps femoris, which extends the thigh, flexes the knee, and laterally rotates the leg. And then in there you have your semimembranosus, which extends the knee, flexes the thigh, and immediately rotates the leg. And the semitendinosus right there does the same thing as semimembranosus in action. So it extends the thigh, flexes the knee, and immediately rotates the leg. And then this is your sciatic nerve, and that's your common fibular nerve, and this is your tibular nerve. And then alright. And then there's your gastrocnemius right there, and that's for plantar flexion, knee flexion, and foot inversion. And then right just in front of that is your soleus, and that's for plantar flexion. And then you have your, right here, you have your tibialis anterior, which is for dorsiflexion. And then you have your fibularis preanus longus for plantar flexes and for elevation of the foot. And then right here you have your gracilis, which adducts the thigh and flexes and immediately rotates the leg. And then you have your iliopsis right in here, which flexes the hip. And then you have your vastus lateralis, which extends the knee. And then you have right here is your rectus femoris, which extends the knee and flexes the thigh. And then right here is your vastus medius, which also extends the knee. And then you have your pectinus, which flexes, adducts, and medially rotates. And then lastly, you have your plantaris down here, which is for knee flexion and plantar flexion. And that's a quick overview of the muscles of the cat.